Well, we finally made it to the finale of my Retro Yu-Gi-Oh! History series. A Season 1, you could say. I've covered as many aspects in varying detail when it comes to old school Yu-Gi-Oh! And all the impact the game has made. I've tackled the origins of the series, to the Bandai game, to the birth of the modern game, the OCG, in 1999, to the game's TCG debut in 2002, and years of wild formats like Android, Chaos, and GOAT. GOAT specifically would be the crescendo of what many seasoned players remember, with a vivid card pool, fair ban list, and a wide variety of viable deck options. After this format, the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Would be changed forever, with a pivot in the direction of gameplay. So while GOAT is considered the final retro format, it's important to discuss why this was and what made its successor have such an impact to a children's card game. Hey everyone, I'm Jesse from the Janjo Zone, and in this video we will be discussing the groundbreaking set Cybernetic Revolution, a name that would accurately represent this point in history for Yu-Gi-Oh! Cybernetic Revolution was released in the OCG on May 26, 2005, the TCG on August 17, 2005, and in Korea all the way on February 5, 2007. Whoa. The cover card is Cyber End Dragon, a very powerful fusion monster with 4,000 attack and piercing damage. Much like the previous set, that being the Lost Millennium, the set would focus on characters from the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX anime, specifically Zane and Cyrus Truesdale, and their repertoire of machine monsters. Many monsters in this set would be upgrades from previous versions, like Goblin Elite Attack Force, Cybernetic Cyclopean, Cyber Archfiend, and Giant Kozaki. Other interesting cards would be Dimension Wall, Elemental Hero Bubble Man, Tyranno Infinity, Winged Karibo level 10, and of course, Jerry Beans Man. Although the Mad Lobster needs more meme love in my opinion. Two other powerful cards in the set would be DDM, Different Dimension Master, where it can be used with Reasoning Gate decks as a level 5 light monster, as well as it having the effect to bring back a banished monster, for example a Dark Magician of Chaos. Magical Explosion would be the other power card bar Archetypes. This trap card has the effect in which that when you have no cards in your hand, this card inflicts 200 damage to your opponent for each spell in your graveyard. Explosion would be a catalyst for an OTK deck in conjunction with the Reasoning Gate decks, much like DDM. Then we got the two primary archetypes of the set. As mentioned, these are based on Zane and Cyrus's cards, first being Roids. These machines are cartoonish versions of various vehicles like cars, helicopters, and UFOs. Steamroid and Drilloid would be the best ones from the set, with their decent stats and good effects like attack boost and piercing damage respectively. While the archetype itself wouldn't make any waves as its own deck, Steam and Drill would find itself comfortably in many decks for the time for its stats and effects, increasing the attack threshold of meta-viable low-level monsters more than before. But then came the Cyber Dragons. This archetype are exactly what they say. Cybernetic Dragons. Pretty awesome. Gone are the days of sphinxes, ancient tombs, zombies, and whatever the hell Shape Snatch is. Starting with the premier card, we got Cyber Dragon. It's a 5-star light monster with 2100 attack. Its effect is that if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon a Cyber Dragon from your hand. Suddenly, you now have a monster that 1. Can be summoned from your hand, 2. Has a high attack that can attack over a high defense monster like Gravekeeper's Spy, and 3. Its light attribute works with chaos monsters. Yes, Fiend Mega Cyber did exist, and it was a dart making it work with chaos, but it required your opponent to have 2 monsters, which means you had to wait longer to summon Mega Cyber as opposed to Dragon's requirement of simply 1 monster, and the 100 attack difference wasn't worth the extra time. It's a matter of situational use. Remember, special summoning high-level monsters from your hand without tributing was extremely rare. Cyber Twin Dragon would be the accompanying power card. This fusion monster required 2 Cyber Dragons, one less than the cover card. With 2800 attack, this dragon could attack twice in the battle phase, and if unopposed, would mean dealing 5600 points of damage. So abusing cards like Metamorphosis and BLS, Cyberstein, and other support cards like Limiter Removal, and the new fusion card Power Bond, to also double the monster's attack, created many openings for OTK potential. Much like Blue Eyes White Dragon, this dragon would improve by combining together. Hell, you could even Power Bond a Cyber End Dragon to have a monster with 8000 attack. Yikes. It was clear that this set would be a game-changing one. However, when it came to the first set, when it came out in a playable form in SJC Boston, players weren't quite sure what to make of it all. Cyber Dragon's presence was more in a testing the waters phase, and Cyber Twin was more evident of its potential. The thing was that Cyber Dragon didn't fit the mold of the popular Go Control deck. You couldn't use Scapegoat along Cyber Dragon, and since with Cyber Dragon you still had your normal summon, you also couldn't play Scapegoat for that matter. So instead of having these slow goat decks that took your turn summon, you have a much faster strategy that still allows you to do more. Cyber Dragon gets hit from a bottomless trap hole? No problem, summon something else. If Cyber Dragon hit the field no problem, then you could even tribute it for a Mobius or a Janjo or an Air Knight. Combining Cyber Dragon with your normal summon and a card like Snatch Steal or Brain Control potentially end games, or at the very least highly swing them in your favor. Decks during this later half of 2005 would focus more on total control cards like Enemy Controller and implementing more DD monsters in the main deck while still using powerful Chaos monsters like BLS and Chaos Sorcerer. Recruiter Chaos decks also became more popular during this time, for you could summon Cyber Dragon, normal summon a Recruiter, use Creature Swap, and gain an additional monster and more fuel for Chaos plays. Of course, don't forget about the addition of Roids in decks either. Cyber Dragons took a bit more time for players to firmly grasp it, and it really gave Go Control a run for its money. If anything, Cyber Dragons are anti-GOAT that, when players realize this, open the floodgates. And that's what transitioned Yu-Gi-Oh! From the old era to the new era. Cybernetic Revolution did what it claimed. It revolutionized the game with cards like Jerry Beans Man, Mad Lobster, and Cybernetic Magician. With cards like DDM and Magical Explosion boosting Reason Gate decks, with cards like Drilloid and Steamroid improving the pool of normal summon monsters, and of course Cyber Dragon and its fusion forms, it significantly changed the game. Yu-Gi-Oh! Went from a more methodical mindset to increased special summoning and using multiple monsters in a turn, as well as increasing the threshold for OTK potential. This would be the direction Yu-Gi-Oh! Would continue to go in by turning the fusion deck into the extra deck and implementing that mechanic way more with synchro summoning, Xyz summoning, pendulum summoning, and link summoning. All ways to special summon monsters from your hand and various decks. Just watch modern combo videos on YouTube to see just where the game is nowadays, like Dragon Link for example. Even control decks like Salamangreat use a multitude of special summoning. Cybernetic Revolution was the gateway from the retro era of Yu-Gi-Oh! And the eras that many players would know Yu-Gi-Oh! To become, whether for better or worse. That is why it was important for me to include this entry in my history series and explain what exactly happened and why Yu-Gi-Oh! Feels so different today than it did in mid-2005. Will we see what happens in future formats? Maybe, but for now this is a wrap up to my retro Yu-Gi-Oh! History series, and I hope you all learned a thing or two and enjoyed the whole ride. Maybe I'll combine all this into a book and expand on some things. Who knows? Anyways, I'll see you all next time, and until I see you then, have a wonderful day.